From having a background in finance and working in the field for 2 years, I decided to switch my career to UX UI design in 2017. Fast forward 7 years, I've worked at 2 internships, 2 full-time jobs, and I'm currently freelancing while simultaneously building my personal brand. This journey has been nothing short of challenging but exciting, and I want to share my story on how I went about it, so hopefully you can learn from my experiences. Let's go. So I was 1 year into my finance job and I decided to switch because I wasn't really enjoying it. And the term UX UI really caught my eye. So the first question was, should I pursue a degree in user experience design? Should I go to university to learn? Because I had no background in design whatsoever. However, after doing some research online, I couldn't find many good options that were relevant towards specifically UX UI design. So then I decided to just watch some tutorials here on YouTube, read articles online, and I took a few courses that I could find that were targeted towards UX UI design. My end goal was to build my first portfolio so then I could apply to internships and break into the field of UX design. So I was doing all of this while I was working at my finance job. So I used to spend the evenings after work, and then I used to spend weekends learning about UX and tweaking things around and trying to build my very first projects in UX design. Since I didn't have a degree and I wasn't planning on pursuing one, I knew that internships would be my best bet, because if you think about it realistically, for a full-time job, you need some experience or you need to have a degree that proves that your skills are relevant. But since I was coming from a finance background and I had work experience in finance and my education was in finance, I knew that a tech company or a design company wouldn't hire me full-time because I didn't really have any real work regarding UX design. So that's why I was aiming towards internships. So my advice to you, if you're planning to break into this field from a completely different domain, is to look at internships instead of a full-time job. Because companies that hire designers, they either want experienced designers or they want designers that have a background in design. But design agencies and studios hire interns knowing that they are new and they are fresh and they're willing to develop their skills throughout the internship. So your chances of getting an internship are higher. So after reading some articles and watching some videos here on YouTube, I decided to write down 3 ideas for my case study projects. And these were ideas that I personally wanted to build or that was solving a problem for me. So one idea was a restaurant website for burgers. The second one was a workout tracking app. And the third website was a finance database, as this was a problem that I noticed when I was working in my finance job, and I thought that I would solve it as a UX case study project. Now, when I look back at my first portfolio, I laugh because it is so cringeworthy that I couldn't believe that at the time I thought it was my best work. I made the same mistakes that beginners make today, which includes only showing screens and not giving any rationale or reasoning behind them, showing the process of, the typical design thinking process of empathize, define, ideate, prototype, and test, and showing different artifacts like user personas, journey maps, thinking that if I show that in my case study, a recruiter will hire me because I know how to make those artifacts. But once those case studies were done and once I finished those projects, I registered the domain name of my name and I built a very simple portfolio using Wix because at the time it was cheap and it was easy to use. The reason I chose to put my portfolio online versus a PDF was that it was easier for me to share my portfolio with recruiters and other hiring managers. So my advice to you is, if you're working on your first portfolio, consider having it online. If not your personal website, then you could use Dribbble or Behance, but it should be online as it's easier for you to update and share with recruiters. So once my portfolio was live, I watched some videos here on YouTube on the types of interview questions that are asked in UX interviews. I then used to write down these questions and rehearse my answers so that I was better prepared to give a UX interview. After completing 2 years in my finance job, I decided to quit and then I started applying for internships in UX design. I remember applying to 5 internships on this website called internshara.com, and I applied to 2 or 3 full-time jobs on LinkedIn. But unfortunately, I started getting rejected or I started getting emails from these companies saying that my portfolio wasn't good enough or that they weren't hiring freshers. So then what I did was I looked up design agencies and studios in the city that I was living in, and I started writing cold emails to them and sharing my portfolio, hoping that they would get back. Some companies did get back, some didn't, but the companies that did get back, they told me that they weren't hiring interns at the moment and that they needed somebody with more experience at the time. So obviously this was very disheartening, and I remember spending a couple of weeks going back and forth and applying to various jobs and internships. But after 1 month of trying and sending my resume, sending my application, I finally landed an internship in a different city, and it was at a design studio. I remember that interview very distinctly, and the interviewer told me that my portfolio wasn't that great. In fact, he said my UI skills needed significant improvement. But what he did point out was that he appreciated the effort I put in to learn the basics of UX design on my own and create a simple portfolio. And more than that, he said that it was a great idea to register my domain name in my name, as it shows that I was serious about this career and that I wanted to pursue it full time. So I moved to Pune for a 3-month internship, and I worked directly with the founder, as it was a very small design studio. It was an amazing experience. I got to learn a lot of new things, and more importantly, I unlearned a few things that I picked up during those courses and articles that I read online. Because the truth is, some of the theory that's taught in these courses and boot camps don't exactly apply in the real world. When you work on a real project, you learn how organizations look at design, and you'll understand how to work with clients that are not exactly taught in these courses. I then moved back to Mumbai, and I started working on my portfolio based on the learnings that I picked up from the internship. I also took more courses online to upskill myself, and I was ready to take on either a new internship or hopefully a full-time job. So the biggest takeaway that I want to give you from this video is that you should start with something and don't try to make it perfect the first time. Everybody started from somewhere, and with the resources that are available today, which were much more than what they were in 2017, you can easily learn the fundamentals of UX, build your first case study, and learn how to crack job interviews with the resources available online. Then what you should do is you should apply for internships rather than full-time jobs, because as I stated earlier, internships are for those people who don't have any experience at all. Once you land your first internship and you get a taste of the real world, then it becomes a lot easier to get more internships or land jobs in the future, as you're more confident about your skills and how to apply them. So if you truly like design and you genuinely want to become a UX designer, then you will find a way. So keep upskilling and keep working on your portfolio, because if you're only doing it for the money, then you might be disappointed if you don't see results quickly. So I really hope my story can inspire you in some way. I made a lot of mistakes and I learned a lot from them. And I really hope that you can take inspiration from this and make lesser mistakes that I did and benefit your career in the future. Thanks for watching, and subscribe for more videos like this.